So, the new world order is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to be dramatic, but it seems like Europe is in shambles after the United States gave some of the most horrifying new updates in terms of our foreign policies.
Yeah, but when hasn't Europe been in shambles? Can you actually genuinely answer me that question?
No, I can't answer that question.
If it's not geographically... It's actually just emotionally.
Europe is
quite
always,
frankly.
the thing about Europe is that all of their nations are so microscopic. To be like Germany's the size of fucking Oregon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you have
imagine our
when you have that
fighting
condensed of a population and they're equally as like patriotic. Like we have patriots, right? We have very loyal patriots.
Yes,
Germany has the same thing,
there's...
but our patriots are scattered across the land,
Listen.
and they're all condensed into one. But regardless,
I just think it's like semi. What's the word I would look?
Semi-glutamate.
No, it's like their patriotism is really just because of their history and not the current events that their actual government people have done.
Yes, but I'll say this.
I'll say this. 50 years, what has Europe really done compared to how much the United States has really done for the world?
Here's the point. I disagree. I disagree. But
much.
The point I want to make is that while the United States was sending troops across a fucking ocean to go help fight in Europe, these nations were being bombed. Right? So they are on their, like, you have to remember that World War I, II, and a lot of the Cold War crisis, and that shit is not ancient history. You know what I'm saying? So they are still reeling in for the consequences. But regardless,
that actually ties into the alliances that we have, and we're watching it crumble between the J.D. Vance speech, which you talked about.
Guys, if you saw the last episode of Valenti, we talked about J.D. Vance's speech. Now...
That was the first page in the new chapter of the United States walking away from
NATO,
the
UN.
Well, I don't think they're going to leave NATO, but in practice,
you don't. I do.
No, I don't think they're going to leave NATO.
Really? Trump has said it multiple times.
I know, but I don't think he's going to follow through. What I'm saying is they're just going to say we're in this on paper, but we don't give a shit about what you say or what you want us to do because we're the guarantor of this alliance. And if you don't fucking like it, you guys leave. And
yes, that's how we're taking it.
It's gonna be a Trumpy art of the deal.
Okay, so here's the thing. Hear me out. So you would then agree that Trump is probably going to threaten to leave NATO because of how much money we put into it, and be like, well, if we're not in it, NATO pretty much crumbles, right? Now, here's the thing. What if they call his bluff? True. Do you think that he will pull out or that he'll succumb? Like the tariff plan, right? Canada and Mexico called his bluff.
No, I think he would allow it to become a Brexit, and then That's
what I'm saying.
I know, but who has more to lose? The European nations who call Trump's bluff and leave.
It's a lose-lose for everyone.
Sure, but who has more to lose?
Genuinely
Europe. Obviously Europe. For one reason alone, forget money, because that would it
what,
would
nuclear
fuck up.
weapons?
No, it's just military might.
That's my point. Is that I think there's two arguments to be made. You could argue that if the United States left NATO, NATO's fucked because we're the strongest. That's one argument.
And
the other argument that I would make is that the United States is strong because of our alliances. If you remove those alliances, those are nuclear-powered nations.
Sure, but if you break the United States off of the alliance and you look at everybody except for the United States stayed, and the United States left everybody. I think all of them combined are not powerful enough economically or militarily to be against us.
I'll tell you,
so they would still have to capitulate.
I'll give you this. I'll give you economically. I think that people don't, and this is also will tie into the last part that we're going to talk about, some denuclearization shit. People don't understand the power of today's nuclear weapons because of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You know what I mean? Those bombs, microscopic compared to the ones we have.
We've only seen the
when a nation has any nuclear weapons, it doesn't really matter how big your armies are. Those weapons are capable of so much damage that your might is matched. You know what I'm saying?
Just because, I'm not saying enemies. I'm saying walking away from the terms of the allies, and therefore, if you walk away from the original agreement, all these people would say, well, we need a new agreement, and the new agreement would be based on who's the biggest bully.
One thing I want to say
in the schoolyard.
One thing I want to say, because I'm not sure if you know this, but during what was it, Pete Hegseth's speech, I believe, he essentially said that if the United States is going to pull out of maintaining Ukraine, right, and if NATO troops get attacked in Ukraine, we will not invoke Article 5.
Right.
So that, I would say, that's illegal considering we signed a treaty, right? Would you
Right.
say that? Okay, so that brings me to this. Pull it up.
Okay.
Trump is willing to violate the law because he genuinely believes that he cannot violate
Yeah,
the
so,
law.
Guys, this was here. Let me zoom in.
This
a
has
little
been
bit.
trending
This
all
is
over
from
everywhere.
The official White House and POTUS Instagram.
He also
and
tweeted it.
and Twitter page. Sure, and he tweeted it too. He who saves his country does not violate any law. First of all, that is the most insane fucking shit to actually say.
That's
and
Hitlerian.
I want to pull up.
That's Hitlerian.
Hold on, I want to pull up what was the conventional wisdom before Trump came along.
Well, he does that. Guys, I want you to think for a second what he means by that. He who saves his nation does not violate any law. That is him greasing us up for him to violate law, which he's already been doing. He is telling you, listen, I know what I'm doing is illegal, but I'm incapable of breaking the law because I'm sent by God to save this nation.
This is a Nixon Frost interview taped in April 1977. When was Nixon removed? Was it before or after this?
I don't know. Probably after this.
Okay, but he said this, and this essentially, like, even after he resigned the presidency, and then and like these words came out, all of the people that clung on to him was like, no, he wasn't a crook. You don't understand. That was
is this when he said, I am not a crook?
No, watch this. This was the conventional wisdom of he's fucked.
So what, in a sense, you're saying is that there are certain situations where the president can decide that it's in the best interest of the nation or something and do something illegal.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
So what, in a sense, you're saying is that...
You have to understand that Nixon is one of the godfathers of the modern conservative movement, right? That was, I guarantee you, this is the type of framework. I guarantee if Trump saw that clip, which I bet you he hasn't, he'd go, yeah.
No, of course he does.
He's right. He'd go, yes, he's right. And also,
Yeah.
we know this because didn't the
Roger
Supreme
Stone-
Court? No, didn't they
Roger
just
Stone.
rule that the president cannot be held accountable for any crimes that he commits?
Official actions of the president.
But can't the president just say that's an official act?
I mean, he can try, but then they would have to really get into intent, which is how all of the articles of impeachment were brought in, where they said the quid pro quo, and they also said the fake Russia hoax. They essentially said, what was your intent? Was your intent
Malice.
was your intent for personal gain or personal professional gain, or was it for actually the office of the presidency?
Well,
so if Barack Obama was, launched a fuckload of drones and killed a fuckload
He went to
of
more
people.
weddings than anyone I've ever known.
Okay, so if he says, I authorized this drone strike, and someone went after him, they'd say, you were acting
so it's okay
right.
because you're the president.
But if it's, this is for my re-election, well, now you're taking it out of the office
Well,
of the
but
presidency.
wait, wasn't that they literally asked directly during the court case? They were like, so are you saying that you could, fucking off your political opponent and it would be considered okay? And they literally ruled yes, right?
They did no.
I remember seeing that fucking clip.
It was a complicated. It was a complicated ruling where they said it would have to be
An official act.
an official act, but also something like that where if it was your political enemies, that wouldn't be for the office of the presidency. That would be for the person, president,
but
president A or candidate B.
Regardless, we've got the president of the United States comfortably. This is a sign of comfort. Pull it up one more time for them. I want people to really sit there with this in the fucking background so you can understand
This
who the
one?
goddamn... Yeah, listen, guys, I want you to look at that. You know who that is? The Fuhrer. That is your new Führer, okay? I want you to sit there and read that fucking message 5 times.
Oh wait, I haven't read any of those. I just want to.
He who saves his God. We are also live, guys. Just so you know, we always go live when I'm making the Valenti VOD. And before I forget, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and donate $7,000 to the channel.
To the people who agree with what I'm saying, there you go. To the people who don't, fuck you.
Anyway,
Like, that's
but
it.
guys, really look at that. He who saves his country does not violate any law. I want you to just imagine, okay, if there's anyone here who's MAGA or they're on the fringe, just imagine Kamala Harris.
Or Joe Biden.
No. We need phony Kamala. I want you to imagine for a second that Kamala Harris wins the election and then she posts a mean mug like this and she goes, she who saves her country does not violate any law. You motherfuckers would be calling for her head.
Dude, they'd be shitting.
You'd be calling for her head.
No, the more realistic behavioral pattern would be shitting and crying rolling on the floor. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Rolling in your own shit like
Yeah.
little piggies. Look a little fucking like little piggy.
Yeah, no, but George Soros, please.
George, don't even get me started. We got Elon Musk standing in the fucking Oval Office in a t-shirt and a hat. Now just imagine, shut up. Just imagine if Kamala Harris won and then invited George Soros into the Oval Office and he created Doge and started
Shitting and crying on the
shitting, crying, rolling in your own shit.
Yeah, that's what
you
they
little
all do.
shit
The
babies.
thing about it is right now what we're seeing is I listen. I know you're not a fan. I don't really give a shit because I don't give a shit about a lot of what you think. But
Unreal.
Is Bill Maher said he was like, I said that I wasn't gonna pre-hate everything that Donald Trump did. Well, now I've seen 4 weeks of it, and I hate. And guess
sucks.
what? Guess what? I hate.
Wait, real quick. Go ahead.
Because candidate Trump and President Trump
two different people.
are two different people.
Let's say one thing real quick, to the MAGA, to everybody here.
Fuck you, number one.
Fuck you, but also MAGA, you don't think, like, all the money that Doge is draining, right? Do you think they're going to write you a check and send it in the mail?
No,
Do you think,
Chris,
you're getting the money back?
No, the tech bro big brain theory is if they cut enough waste, then it will actually
kill us all.
no.
And then they can
Chris,
rule over our bones.
Chris, you gotta let me finish a sentence before I punch you in the fucking throat, okay? What I'm saying, their big brain theory is if you cut enough waste from the government spending,
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Okay. If you cut enough waste from the government spending, then it will counteract inflation. They believe Chris, I'm not saying I believe this.
I know.
This was what Elon said.
Go ahead.
They believe that Doge is going to fix the inflation problem.
Okay, but okay.
That's where they genuinely.
So they're just stupid.
No, it's not even that. They're manipulated. It's a big difference.
Okay.
Because it's very, very easy to be manipulated when you decide not to do your own research. They just go, I saw it on Twitter and Elon said it, so it must be legit.
Oh
and they're
my
fucking
God.
idiots. Instead, they're not doing the hard work that you and I do, and mostly me, but sometimes you.
Sometimes me.
Where they want everything that they're saying to be true. And the problem is,
Of course they do.
it's not. They need to live in the same world we live in, where we say, "Oh, Democrats are saying, look at what I'm doing here," but we are like, "Well, fuck you, Democrats, because I'm looking at what you're doing here, and it's a big bunch of nothing."
Yes, it's absolutely.
They don't do that, and that's the inception and genius of Trumpism. That's this whole tweet. He who saves this country does not violate any law.
And there are people who celebrate this.
This ties into what this goes way back, and this.
You know what I
isn't-
will say? That
Shut-
sounds like something that you would say right before you break the law.
Look.
Am I wrong?
Okay, this is a very famous thing.
This is
and
Napoleon?
This is Napoleon. So this
Napoleon
isn't new. In
Bonaparte!
fact, most of what Donald Trump does is not new. And if you think it's new, you're fucking.
Yes, and this is why.
You're fucking stupid.
Guys, I've said this before.
Read
What
this,
you were
read this
saying-
out loud.
I will. But
as
real quick,
as
guys,
a French short man.
fascism, the term, may be a new concept, coined by fucking Mussolini, right? But the practice of it is as old as humanity. What you are seeing is just the latest version.
I want you to do your best interpretation of being a 4'7" Napoleon. French.
Seek to destroy the revolution.
More audible. Okay.
More audible.
Yeah.
They seek to destroy the revolution by attacking my person. I will defend it, for I am the revolution.
Okay, so that's Napoleon. And now, do this in the same voice.
He who saves his country does not violate any law.
You sound like you're pushing out a fart.
Well, he constantly is shitting.
If you are shitting on us.
Also,
But-
wait, is there something wrong with his eye? Or is that just
No, he did that deliberately. Okay.
What a
Anyway,
guy.
So so you're seeing this shit, right? And you're seeing the fact that we're walking away from these
Democracy?
alliances, but from democracy. But I watch, and anybody should go check this out. The Ezra Klein show. He's a fucking genius. I don't really care if you agree with him or disagree
Ezra
with him.
Miller, The Flash?
Ezra Klein.
Never heard of her.
If you don't, you may not agree with all of what he thinks on policy, but as an analyst, someone in Washington who's been there for a while, covering everything, he has a really, really keen eye of discovering a lot of things that. Where is it? Let me find the clip. I gotta find the area.
Ezra Klein.
Ezra Klein's show.
A few years back,
Hold
the
on.
Oh,
online
this
right
guy.
became enamored.
Yeah. hold
This
on.
guy, I know this
gotta find
guy.
the section. So 1 second.
I'll tell you one.
Ready? No,
Yeah.
just listen. Stop.
Sorry.
Idiot.
Sorry.
What Donald Trump wanted was power. And so they're trying to remake our system of government, not our laws. And they've identified a weak point in the system. And now they're trying to drive a flaming Cybertruck through it.
Nice.
That weak point is Congress. And the reason the Trump administration might succeed in taking Congress's power is that they have turned congressional Republicans into NPCs.
NPCs.
The vulnerability in the system here goes way back. In Federalist 51, James Madison set out the challenge he and his colleagues faced in writing the Constitution. He said, "In framing a government, which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place oblige it to control itself."
You must first... Wait, I want to read that again because I really need to digest that.
In this, you must first enable the government to control the governed,
Okay.
and in the next place oblige it to control itself.
Okay, so essentially what he's saying here is giving the government the power to have control over its people. You got to do that in order to have a government. But the second part, what he's saying here is, and this is important, the second part of this...
God
Pull it
damn
back
it.
up.
You don't know how to use a fucking
The second
computer.
part of this, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself.
Yes.
So the
He's
government
essentially saying-
needs to have the willpower to be willing to regulate itself.
And the whole thing is, right, it's not that we don't have checks and balances, okay? We do. But, so, just by pure cuckery from the Democrats, as well as, really it's cuckery from the Democrats, we have a Supreme Court that is more heavily to the conservative.
But
also, you know why it is too? Because Ruth Bader Ginsburg refused when Obama pushed her to resign.
Yes.
And she said no. And you know what happened? She fucking ended up dying when because she and the conventional wisdom thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And that was all the establishment thinking because never could Donald Trump. But my point is, so now that check ideologically has aligned with Donald Trump. Now Congress is actually where they have the power. The issue is they're deliberately choosing, we believe in the unitary executive theory, where therefore they want to not check Donald Trump as much as possible. It's not that Congress cannot check Donald Trump.
So they don't have to.
No, they are actively every day choosing not to.
Yes.
The only way to go about checking Donald Trump is with the midterms or just using some form of congressional authority.
That's what I was about to say, though, is that I think part of the huge problem is that there is no authoritative body within Congress, Senate, the House, or even the fucking Department of Justice, because, as we've talked about a million times, guys, Elon Musk is illegally hacking into the Treasury, right? Everything he's doing is illegal when it comes to draining these organizations. And the Department of Justice, like 9 DOJ judges have sued him. 19 states, at least, have sued him. But the problem is, even though Doge and Elon Musk are receiving court orders to halt their downloads and delete everything that they stole, there's no way to enforce it.
Hold on. The thing about this is it is the fact that Congress is so broken and the two-party system.
Oh yeah.
One thing that, and I really implore everybody, it's 16 minutes, go look at Ezra Klein's latest video. But one thing he talks about is the fact that back then in the Nixon era and the Johnson era and the Eisenhower era and even the FDR era, we didn't really have two parties. We had four. There were the more moderate Democrats who let me rephrase.
We even had the Whig Party back in the day when we were kids, and the Tea Party.
So the Republican Party was made up of two factions, and the Democratic Party was made up of two factions. They needed very often to get these policy proposals completed. They needed votes from the other side, and the whole thing was ideologically, it was four puzzle pieces. It was a what's it called? Is that a Punnett square? I forget.
Yeah, but you're talking about moderate Democrats.
Now,
and
there were moderate Democrats and there were conservative Democrats,
Yes.
and there were moderate Republicans and there were conservative Republicans. But the whole thing is that was then. Now it is solely the two-party rule.
You're either a liberal or a conservative.
Right. So they don't have that overlap the way they used to. That said, right now as it stands, it is such a slim majority where this is going to be the showdown, and I'm predicting this now. I heard it earlier today from Ryan Grimm on Breaking Points. Go check them out. They're great. They said the big showdown the Democrats have is not just going to the fucking USAID office, which, by the way, that's a test balloon that they're using.
Yeah, to
they
see if
really
they can
want
get away with it.
Yeah, and they shouldn't die on the hill of USAID. By the way, the Democrats should not die on that hill.
No, I think it's the
principle, I
first
understand.
red alarm bell.
Okay, but
it's an alarm bell.
March 14th is when they need to pass the budget to continue funding the government. Okay. That is the next opportunity for Democrats. And the problem is we gotta wait fucking another 4 weeks for them to actually have some action. But in 4 weeks is a fund the government thing, and they should not fund, in my opinion, personal opinion, they should not fund the government unless there is clear legislative oversight into Doge and what Doge is doing.
I agree.
Otherwise, you say, fuck you, we're shutting it down, and all we're asking for is transparency from your government efficiency branch.
I don't understand how Congress and the Senate have allowed Doge to operate as long as it has.
Right.
It has usurped their power indefinitely.
But check this. Hold on. This is talking more about what I was talking about.
Here in 2025, President Trump is impounding money that Congress has appropriated in clear defiance of that impoundment bill that passed nearly unanimously. He's trying to erase agencies that Congress created. And while the courts are standing in his way, Congress is doing nothing while Trump takes away their power.
The reason USAID is going to cease to exist as it did before is because it should.
At the end of the day, though, he's got to freeze everything in order to get his arms around it. Just give him a little time.
We don't see this as a threat to Article 1 at all. We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority doing what the executive branch should do.
It's astonishing. Republicans in Congress could demand that Trump cut them in. They won this election too. This is their job. It is their job to write these bills. Agreeing with Trump's policy aims need not mean agreeing with his power grab. The most powerful branch of government, the branch with the power to check the others, is supine. It is not that it can't act to protect its power. It's that it will not act to protect its power. This is a non-player Congress.
Okay. So they've packed Congress with these people who, this is what I was talking about this with Mom actually, that these people, a lot of the people in Congress, they're okay with what's happening because even though they won't be the king, they will be a lord. They will still get power. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even if they're fucking Democrats in Congress.
Right. So I guess my main takeaway is the fact that what we're seeing right now is that Congress is actually saying, hey, hands off the wheel from our end. We don't give a shit. We want you to go as far as you can. The courts are really going to test you, and it's going to go up to the Supreme Court, which he has in his control right now. The Democrats, all they have to do, it is time in the Democratic Party to break shit and throw out the people who crashed the car.
Yes.
And but I could talk shit about them for hours, and literally there's not enough time.
There's not enough time in the day to shit on
this
Democrats.
earth to say how many fucking times the Democrats tripped over their own dicks.
You know what
they even have them.
What there is time to talk about, chat, is Trump having these fucking meetings.
Hold on, let me just say hi to the chat. By the way,
go
fuck you.
Yourself. Listen,
okay?
guys, Trump and Matt Gaetz, or not Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth. Sorry, I mixed up my alcoholics. Trump and Pete Hegseth, they had these meetings with Russian assets, essentially conceding to the Russians because after the $200 billion we spent in Ukraine?
More.
After the at least $200 billion that you and I spent in Ukraine, it looks like the Ukrainians are just going to lose everything that they had, their pre-2014 borders. Right. Fuck it. Putin is not going to concede anything. Ukraine's also not going to go to NATO. So,
okay, see this? I just want to talk about this. Okay?
Oh, this is where we disagree.
So look, the EU institutions, right? When you combine their GDP, I don't know what the average is because each country's average is, you would have to combine their entire GDP and then add it up together. Denmark has spent the most of their GDP, but also Denmark has some of the smallest GDP. My point is, this is disproportionate, okay? The United States should not be footing the majority of this bill because in and of itself, it is a bad deal. I don't disagree with the principles that Donald Trump is going and saying of we're getting fucking fleeced. And we are, okay? And we are. That said, his execution of being like, that's it. We're gonna, like we're just gonna let Russia essentially have what they want. I also don't agree with. My point is what I think is gonna happen is, and the news story is speculative and it's too early to tell as of February 17th, 2025 right now, but they're gonna make the deals with Russia on behalf of Ukraine. At the very last minute, they're going to loop Ukraine in. They're not going to ask the UK, Germany, Canada, Denmark, Netherlands, Sweden, France, even Japan, and the EU institutions. They're not going to ask them what's best for them. The issue is this should be reversed. You know why? Because they're the ones fucking land connected.
Well, here's where I'm going to disagree with you. You have to give me a chance to disagree with you.
I'm just saying we have the leverage because we're the ones footing the fucking bill.
Yes, but we are also footing the bill because we make so much more money than every single one of these countries, and all of these countries combined would make up a landmass of maybe half of our nation.
It's not about fucking landmass.
No, it is because we are so giant. Our industry is so giant. We make so much more money than our. Why don't you compare our GDPs in general? Let me pull that up. Let me see what is the U.S. GDP from 2023. Okay, U.S. GDP 2023. Okay, 27 trillion.
You're not sharing the screen.
$27 trillion. Okay, now give me Germany's.
No. I'm just going to do EU.
EU GDP. 27 trillion from us.
And 17.1. Okay, so...
Well, euros, so $18 trillion. Okay. So we made
wait,
almost...
Stop. 18.5 over... What is that? 27.36, right? So we have... so that is 67%. Actually, no, let me do that in reverse. 27.36 over... 18.58, right? So we're 47% bigger.
Yeah,
right?
so we make... Hold on, let me finish my point. The United States has a GDP that is 47% bigger than the entirety of the EU, yes?
Okay, sure.
I believe that of our $27 trillion, we could afford to send $119 billion. The problem is, we're getting nothing.
No, but you're not hearing me. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be providing any or even the majority. I'm saying it should be proportionate to GDP.
So you're saying they should go up, but it's okay that we spent $120 billion.
No, so what I'm saying is if it's 52.1, right? Mm-hmm. So we have a GDP of 47% higher, right?
Yes.
And you do 52.1 times 1.47. We should only be spending 76, not 119.
Okay, but here's my counter argument. If we only spent 76, don't you think the Russians would have fucking won by now? Simply because the reason Ukraine is dangling by a thread.
And
yes.
Who has more to lose if
Give
Ukraine
me a second,
falls?
bro. Let me get a fucking point out. Ukraine is dangling by a thread. Yes. That's part of the reason why they're coming to a ceasefire.
It's not even dangling. They have not
progressed.
Okay,
so I would argue that every last dollar that we spent there, unless you do an audit and find out Zelensky's been pocketing it, that every last dollar that we spent there still wasn't enough to defend Ukraine, right?
So all the money that we've spent in 2024 to 2025, okay, how much has it moved the fucking front line?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Wait, they've lost. Hold on. So they've lost. They've taken our money and lost with it.
Yes, but how is... Matt, I'm trying to understand what the point you're trying to make is. Is the point that you're trying to make is that since we spent the money and they lost, we should stop funding any defense of Ukraine? Because clearly, just so you know... Wait, no, I need to bring this up. Hitler invades Poland, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, I'm going to stop here. I'm not going any further. And Neville Chamberlain, he's like, okay, fine. You're not going to go any further. I believe you.
The appeasement.
Yes, he appeases. He goes, I believe you, right? Guess what? Hitler fucking lied,
right?
Okay? And if you think Vladimir fucking Putin is, even if he doesn't have all of Ukraine now, if you think he's going to stop there, he didn't stop when he took Kiev in 2014. Okay. He's not going to stop once he gets Luhansk and Donetsk.
Right. So
he's going to keep fucking going.
Hold on.
So you get the checks.
This
Kosovo.
I'm going to fucking hit you. This brings up a great point. You have a great point, by the way, because the question is would whoever the president was would Zelensky, would Boris Johnson, would Joe Biden, would Donald Trump become a Neville Chamberlain of the appeasement? And that question is really just a philosophical one because you really are trying to predict
Can't predict the future, yeah.
That said, we have historical precedent for avoiding appeasement, so I can understand the rationale for not wanting to do appeasement. But the other thing you really have to keep in mind is we're putting all this money and death, because money's money. You can make money, you can lose money, you can mine for fucking rare earth minerals, which, by the way, the fucking minerals that Ukraine has, not that rare.
No, it's not about the minerals. It's about the natural gas deposits.
Okay, whatever. I'm just saying is...
It's not about rare. It's about the size of it, man.
I know, but they just keep using the term rare earth minerals. My point is,
okay,
all of this death and money and destruction, and you're continuing to lose territory, right? Is it worth that? So how do you get to diplomacy? We always have to believe in diplomacy. And that's my point, is if you're going to try to get to a diplomatic resolution, you say, all right, the protections for you is this, for Russia is this, the protection for NATO is this, the protection for this, the protection for that. That is how you reach a diplomatic resolution. You need to always strive for diplomacy, otherwise you end up with World War fucking III. Now that said, Trump is clearly, are you kidding me? All right.
Trump offers key consent. Fuck you,
dude.
CNN.
This is actually crazy.
Fuck you, CNN. All right. Trump offers key concessions to Putin ahead of Ukraine peace talks in Saudi Arabia.
So what he's saying is Vladimir Putin is right. Donald Trump's administration has ended the Russian president's international isolation, shattering the Western unity in the conflict and casting doubt on how far the U.S. would go to defend Europe, signaling a stunning shift. Trump aides also fueled concerns that the U.S. president will embrace just about any deal to Putin, even if it's a bad one for Ukraine and a continent whose borders are against Russian expansionism.
Pause. Volodymyr Zelensky actually just recently was giving a speech, and he said he was fucking throwing shade. He said, after J.D. Vance's speech at the Munich Security Conference, he said, it is clear that the most powerful member of NATO is Russia. Okay, now guys, if you're actually living under a rock, Russia's not in NATO. That's a joke. Right. About the fact that the United States, who is, like we were saying, we spend the most money, is seemingly bending the knee to Vladimir Putin.
Suggestions that the U.S. will exclude its European friends from peace talks on Ukraine, despite demanding that they provide security guarantees and troops as part of any deal. So essentially,
that's what he said.
The United States is saying, hi, you have to
defend Ukraine.
It has to be your troops, not ours.
Yes.
All right. This gets back to the proportionate contributions, right? I don't think a single
US
fucking
soldier.
American should be stepping foot in Ukraine.
I agree.
I believe that would actually be perceived by Russia as an act of war.
Can I ask you a question before you continue, though? If a NATO soldier was defending it, let's just say a Polish soldier, and he got shot and killed, and it started an article, do you think then we should go?
Yeah,
because that's Article 5, yeah?
Well, yeah, that's our ally.
Okay, that's my point. Now, the thing is, I believe Trump doesn't want us to do that. And they said that. Pete Hegseth said that. He said that if a NATO soldier, if NATO gets attacked in Ukraine, we will not defend. He said this.
Right, but the whole question is it the soldiers or is it the territory?
Right? I don't know. It's probably both.
I actually think it's
probably both.
I think it's the territory.
Well, no, Poland got hit by a bomb, and remember, it was a missile struck in Poland, killed a farmer during this whole thing, and it was a big
on the land.
Yeah, it hit the land.
Yes, that was the whole reason it was a big deal.
No, but it killed a person too.
Sure, yes, of course, and that was a tragedy. I'm saying that it was about the fact that the missile made it on the land.
Mm-hmm.
It was never about, this Polish person was over
you're
in
right.
Ukraine.
It was about you're finally striking our territory.
If they're voluntarily taking troops and putting them into the Ukraine territory, and the territory itself is not covered by NATO, is it the nation, as in the literal territory, or is it the bodies? Because we have plenty of Americans who went over to fight in Ukraine as mercenary.
True, and they
Are
died.
they covered under NATO? No, because they're mercenary, right? So it could theoretically be
contractor is the term nowadays.
Yeah.
You're a fucking merc, bro. You're a merc, and it's fine. You could be a merc. It's kind of sick. It's kind of sick.
But the president on Sunday raised the prospect of meeting with Putin very soon. He told the reporters, "We're going to move along. We're trying."
Let me say one thing that I will say, because I don't want to be too unfair. I do think we should be meeting with Putin. You know what I'm saying? I do think that talking to other world leaders in person, even if they're your enemy, is the best way to avoid conflict, okay? And, I mean, granted, Neville Chamberlain met with Hitler and it didn't prevent conflict, but, you know, even just because you're meeting with him isn't enough. You also have to have the right energy. What is this? What are we pulling up here?
This is the recent interview of Meet the Press with Zelensky.
Thing that President Trump said this week. He did not say yes when he was asked if he sees Ukraine as an equal member in the peace process. He did say later that Ukraine would have a seat at the table.
Hold on.
Have you been given any assurances that Ukraine will have an equal seat at the negotiating table?
So I will never accept any decisions between the United States and Russia about Ukraine. Never. And our people, never. And our adults and children and everybody. It can't be so. This is the war in Ukraine against us, and it's our human losses. And we are thankful for all the support, unity between USA, in USA, around Ukraine support, bipartisan unity, bipartisan support. We're thankful for all of this, but there is no any leader in the world who can really make a deal with Putin without us, about us.
He's making it
he's
valid.
not wrong.
No,
he's not.
He's like, bro, we are the ones dying, so I at least have to be at the negotiating table.
Sure, but who really? When you really think about it, it is and this is the spine, the skeleton of NATO. Who really makes the decisions in this world, Chris? There's three.
Oh, the people who have the money.
The people have the nukes. And who has the nukes? There's three. USA.
There's not three nuclear nations. There's far
Russia
more than
and
three.
China. I know, but the powerhouses.
Sure.
There's three in this world. Sorry, Europeans. Go lift weights. I don't know what to tell you. Go lift weights and make more military contractors. Until you fucking can, you don't have a front seat like us. And that is three. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying this is what I like.
Zelensky is saying that, but he has no power to actually not accept whatever we throw at him.
Yeah, but at the very fucking least, less people die. Isn't that your entire rationale?
No, I disagree with you because of one thing, Matt. Less people, like a historical example that I'll give is what we have up with Neville Chamberlain. Did less people die when for a hot bit when he appeased to Hitler? Sure. Maybe more people would have died if more British people if he went to war with him, right?
Yeah.
But then by appeasing, it opened up a floodgate of, if I'm allowed to do this, then let me try doing this.
But this was the point. Okay, this is what I'm saying. There's two schools of thought. I don't know which one the right answer is. People said that Boris Johnson sabotaged the peace deal in the beginning and said, don't capitulate to Russia. The question is will the settlement, and we don't know this because this is predicting the future, will the settlement look exactly like what the proposed settlement was before?
Meaning just unnecessary death.
Yes, and that is the grand question, and neither me or you know that answer. But if no matter whatever happens, everybody is going to be upset. And that is what lawyers literally say. If both parties are upset, then you had a good settlement. The only one who wins in a lawsuit is the lawyer. In this fucking instance, ending the war, and ending the death. That's, when Caitlin Collins said, do you side with Russia to fucking Donald Trump? And he said, I want the death to stop.
Yes.
He wasn't fucking wrong.
He wasn't, but Matt, you are completely neglecting to talk about the fact that just because you end the current death doesn't mean that you are, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a fucking, on a ship that has a hole leaking in it, you know? The Band-Aid's gonna give, okay? It all depends on the stipulations of the appeasement, right? So if Vladimir Putin learns a lesson from this like a dog, like the little fucking doggy he is, and he learns, wow, I can just literally bomb my way through Ukraine and they will still support me.
Now, that said, what if, this was the next thing, what if Donald Trump can tie the end of the Russian and Ukraine war with denuclearization talks with Russia and China?
He can't.
I understand. I'm not asking for your confidence.
Okay.
You and I talked about this. We didn't vote for Donald Trump. What not voting for Donald Trump meant was he has not earned our confidence. Now, I am a patriot. I will root for any president to prove my initial instinct in an election wrong. Okay? But so fucking far, He's done diddly McGee's acts, as Kyle would say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that said, also, all you MAGA rats who don't agree with me, go fuck yourself. And to all of you who like me, good, because I'm right and they're wrong. I don't really give a shit. My point is, he has not, for me and my opinions, he has not earned my trust. If he can actually simultaneously get a ceasefire in the Middle East, a lasting solution to Ukraine, and do denuclearization, that's Nobel Peace Prize. Don't take my
but he's
word
not
for
doing
it.
any of it.
Okay, but what he said the other day was as follows. Let me find it.
Also, before we even look at what he said, take these people for what they do,
Right.
not what they say.
Yeah,
okay?
always judge someone by what they do, not what by they say.
At some point, when things settle down, I'm going to meet with China, and I'm going to meet with Russia in particular, those two, and I'm going to say there's no reason for us to be spending almost $1 trillion on military. There's no reason for you to be spending $400 billion. China's going to be at $400 billion. We're at $1 trillion. We're going to be at close to $1 trillion. And I'm going to say we can settle this on, we can spend this on other things. We don't have to spend this on military.
Hey, look, it's Hillary.
Based.
Hey, look, it's Hillary.
Is that act?
No, it's his mother.
Oh, it's his mother.
And I'm going to be meeting with China. You know, we were trying to de-escalate nuclear, and I was in a position where Russia had agreed and China had agreed we were going to start, and then we had a rigged election, so that never took place. As soon as things settle down, I'm going to have that conference, primarily with China and Russia, because those are the two that really are out there. And we're going to have them spend a lot less money, and we're going to spend a lot less money. And I know they're going to do it. They agreed to it. We were talking about denuking, denuking.
He almost got it. He was so
President
close.
Putin and I agreed that we were going to do it in a very big way. There's no reason for us to be building brand new nuclear weapons. We already have so many you could destroy the world 50 times over, 100 times over. And here we are building new nuclear weapons, and they're building nuclear weapons, and China's building new nuclear weapons. Hopefully there'll never be a time when we need those weapons. If there's ever a time when we need nuclear weapons, like the kind of weapons that we're building and that Russia has and that China has to a lesser extent but will have, that's going to be a very sad day. That's going to be probably oblivion.
I have absolutely no problem with anything he just said.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's see it.
And to the MAGA rats watching this, notice how I am capable of that? That's great.
Yeah.
But act on that. And I also don't believe that even he would. Like, Trump, the art of the deal, right? I believe that he thinks he could convince Russia and China to get rid of their nukes while he keeps his.
So
that's what he probably thinks.
I learned something. I learned something today. It's not. Let me rephrase that. I had a much better perspective today. I believe that Trump truly believes in the madman theory of go further in your in building your capital of like your rhetoric, so that way when you take the settlement, it's actually what you want, right? That's just like when you sell a car.
Okay,
when you sell a car,
it's
I
like
want
when you're
25,000. I'm
talking-
listing it for 30. Then the guy lowballs me for 22, and I say I'll settle at 25.
Turns out the car was worth
Turns out the car
$5,000.
was no. I'm saying I originally knew I was going to take 25. I listed it for 30. The guy said 22. I negotiated 25. Boom, I got what I want, and that guy thinks he got a deal. Okay, Trump has that. You're actually seeing it with how he's handling Netanyahu.
How is he handling Netanyahu?
Because he's saying we're gonna take Gaza and it's gonna be ours. And what I'm saying to you is he's trying to build capital. And this is just how I think he thinks. Now, who am I? I'm just a guy who listens to a lot of this political
You're a fucking
shit.
idiot.
Don't take my word for it.
You're
but
a stupid man.
If he goes and says, hey Netanyahu, we'll do the ethnic cleansing for you. Okay? We would love to do all of this.
I would love to.
And then he takes him at his word and he says, dude, even if I wanted to, I can't pull it off. This is the best deal you're going to get. He's going to go, oh yeah, well, I guess you really did try, huh? Oh, well, yeah, you're way better than Biden. And guess what's going to happen? That is, in his mind, the art of the deal. And if he's doing the same thing with Putin and he goes, Vladimir, you got to do it.
Vladimir, what do you want me to say?
He's talking to Putin and he's saying, not only do I want a ceasefire deal, but we want to denuke. We want to be best friends.
Listen,
We're gonna lift the
I'll
sanctions.
let you take Luhansk and Donetsk. but in exchange, you've got to give me your nukes.
Right.
Give them to me, and I will get Superman his American.
And look, at the end
and Superman will put all the nukes in a bag, and he'll fly to the moon, and he'll do a little shot put, and he'll send the nukes into Mars.
Right. And, like, look, Pete Hegseth was saying, I want to be clear about something as it pertains to NATO membership not being a realistic outcome. He said that it was unrealistic. Oh, my God. Get out of here. He said that it was unrealistic for Ukraine to expect NATO membership in any peace deal. I really think that NATO membership for Ukraine would be interpreted from Russia as an
provocation. But the problem is, that is capitulating to Russia. Russia goes, NATO can never be a part of, Ukraine can never be a part of NATO. Pete Hegseth gave his speech and said that, and then scroll back up. He said, Ukraine will never be a part of NATO, right? And then he fucking walked it back immediately because the state, because he can't say that because that's conceding.
Okay, no, listen, there's part of me that I said that I believe we all know it. But when the guy says it, it gives them leverage. We all know it. Chris, we all know.
What?
We all know that NATO membership for Ukraine is an unrealistic goal.
I don't understand why.
Hold on. And we all fucking know that returning to the pre-2014 borders is also unrealistic.
I don't understand why it's unrealistic.
Because I'm just talking in this term. Ukrainian soldiers, the median age
is 60.
Is like 60 now.
No, it's 40, I think.
They're 40-something. And most of the men surviving the war are amputees. You have completely used the majority of your resources.
So your whole argument...
I'm not saying that I disagree with the principle of the fact that they should
get their land back.
Unless it is going to be European troops or American troops fighting the Russians.
They're never getting it back.
They're never getting it back. So if you're operating on the reality that it has to be Ukrainian soldiers fighting, and it just happens to be... Then it's Jover. Okay? But that said, Chris, there's no world where it is fueled by Ukrainian soldiers, where they beat the Russians.
But it wasn't fueled by...
So, I'm not... Chris, I understand the whole game of, hey, he shouldn't have fucking said that anywhere but the Situation Room in the White House.
All I'm saying is my theory is this is not where it ends.
I agree.
This is where it pauses.
But this is where our video ends.
This is where our video ends. So listen to me, you stupid fuck. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
We say that with
hit
love.
The notification bell. Donate $7,000 to the channel. I don't think
$7,000 and 1 penny.
Yes, please. I don't think you're stupid. I only think about 30% of MAGA rats are actually in the fascist cult.
The whole thing. Also, I just want to say, like, we joke, we kid about, like, there are as you like, and I like to call it MAGA rats and the TFGs. If you're not
too far gone.
If you're not an open-minded individual, you're just doing yourself a disservice. We have to always be learning from what's going on, but also learning from history. That's the inception of this entire channel, is looking at history, how we got to where we are, and how to not fuck up and repeat the same mistakes. If you're not open-minded, how are you ever going to do better than the people who fucked up in the first place?
That's the whole thing, guys, is you are living in the consequences of your ancestors, and the decisions that we make as a society today are going to dictate the world that you leave behind for your fucking children and grandchildren, and I don't want to raise them in a fascist nation.
Yeah.
Regardless, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, $7,000. Have a good one. I think you stink.